So this is supposed to be a tutorial to the ODL library. The ODL library is basically a differential operator library for Python. So if you have to deal with vector spaces or differential equations, then ODL library is actually a very good choice. So we want to look at some very basic functionalities. First of all, we will import the ODL library with import ODL. Second, we will import NumPy because that might be useful too. Third, we want to do the actual first command. So if we want to have any kind of operators, they all operate on vectors within a vector space. So the first thing we are going to do is to define a vector space. We can do this by entering space. And there we have three important elements. The first is basically the lower element, the starting point of our vector space. So like we suppose it's not infinite, like an interval, if we have one dimension. And then the second is the upper limit, which let's choose it to be 1. And then the number of elements, since we are in finite element vector spaces still, which in this case may be 2. So this is very simple vector space. The next thing we will do is to basically say we want to define a vector, right, which is part of the space. So we can start very simply by just defining an NumPy array. And next, we may have to make this an element of our space. This is what we do in the following way. So our new vec element is space dot element vec. So basically we now tell the space that vec is converted into some kind of element in the vector space. Then let's check how this works. So first of all, we import the libraries. Then we basically define our space. Define the vector, right, as part of the space. Then we convert it into our vector element. So that's how easy you can define a space and an element in the space.